Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call. Today, I'm your host. I'm Paolo Pialorsi, and we are going to see what are the latest news about Microsoft 365 and Power Platform, as well as a lot of cool demos. So the agenda for today is the latest updates, as well as the latest news about Microsoft, the Together mode picture, and of course, 3 great demos, one from Wictor Wilen, one from Matthew Barbour, and one from Abey and Ganesh Anandan. So let's move to the content so that we can get closer and closer to the actual stars of today, which are the demo presenters. So first of all, as a reminder, as a community, we have plenty of resources available for you, like the community learning videos. You can go to akms/community/YouTube, and there you will find plenty of really useful and interesting videos. There is the LinkedIn community, the open source repositories on GitHub, as well as the sample galleries where you can find plenty of samples available to use and to take inspiration from, as well as the homepage of all of these resources is at community.ms or akms/community/home. From there, you can find direct links to all of the resources I was talking about. So go there and enjoy the community. Talking about the community, we have a set of recurring meetings. For example, we have this one, the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community. And during the summertime in July and August, there will be a community takeover. So there will be demos and content from the community, while during the regular time of the year, there are Microsoft speakers only in these community calls. Then we have the Power Platform one on a monthly basis, as well as the Office Add-in one, the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community bi-weekly call, and the Viva Connection and SharePoint Framework bi-weekly call on Thursday. If you want to get the invite for all of this call, there is just one URL you need to remember, ak.ms/community/calls, and from there you can get the invite for all of them. If you are willing to share your knowledge, your experience, and your demos with the community in these calls, you can keep into account that you can simply fill in a form, akms/community/request/demo, and from there, you can submit your availability for delivering a demo in one of the community calls. We will then reach out to you and set up the schedule so that we can have your amazing demos and content shared with the whole community. And thank you for willing to share your knowledge with all of us. So in order to get started to learn how to build solutions for the Microsoft Cloud and for Microsoft 365, here are a couple of really useful resources. You can go to ak.ms/m365-learn if you want to learn about how to extend Microsoft 365. And if you are more on the Power Platform side of the story, or maybe you are both on both sides, you can go to ak.ms/powerplatform/learn. Overall, you have more than 200 learning modules that you can go through to learn more about how to extend the Microsoft Cloud technologies. And if you want to learn from others, there's also plenty of samples that you can find in the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform sample gallery. Today, we reached the goal of 2,390 samples available in the gallery. So we are really, really close to the 2,400 samples, which is a huge achievement. And ak.ms/community/samples, you can find samples organized by categories and by product. And you can easily find something to take inspiration from or to copy and reuse in your own solutions, because sharing is caring. And as a community, we love sharing what we know and what we do with the others in our community. And talking about sharing, David, is there something that you want to share with us about what we can do to share more?
No, we're not going to share anymore. Invest is gone.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Let's move to the next
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Paolo. We are going to share because we care, right? And that is our Sharing is Caring program. For those that are new to it, it is live, it is hands-on, it is an opportunity for you to learn how to utilize some of the technology and the resources and the samples that we have in the community and contribute back. So if you're unfamiliar with GitHub, that hub of Gits, that GitHub hubs, that experience, or I should say that frustrating experience of labyrinth of how to maneuver it, we will demystify it for you. We have a session less than a week next Monday, so it's open for registration. Please do get signed up, ak.ms/sharing is caring. It is a safe space, so we do not record it, which means that you are free to ask any and all questions that you want, and we will collaborate together. And by the end of the call, it counts as a contribution. And why does that matter? Well, because that means we have our recognition program that recognizes contributions, and it is live. Well, we just renewed with Credly, and they're actually doing a case study as a best-in-class program. You have all done so amazing on this that they want to recognize it for the work that it's done. Of course, we still got our Star Wars themes coming up, and we've got superhero season coming up. So the Porcupine Rises, this is a sneak preview of one of the badges that you can earn coming up in the future months of July through October that will couple up with Hacktoberfest. So we're excited. It is absolutely free. Need you to opt in, ak.ms/community/recognition, and we will make sure we track all the wonderful things that you're doing. And again, thank you all again very, very much. Aww. Yes, we appreciate each and every one of you. Keep it up. Paolo, back to you.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. So now, still talking about learning how to extend the Microsoft 365 and the Power Platform, and generally speaking, the Microsoft Cloud technologies. There are plenty of community conferences just around the corner. Actually, literally happening now. This one, the Power Platform Conference, is happening this week in Vienna. And we also have the TechCon 365 conferences in Seattle, Atlanta, and Dallas upcoming in June, August, and November. We also have the Power Platform Community Conference in Las Vegas in October 2025. So if you are on the US side, or if you like traveling to the US and visiting Vegas, you can't miss it. Register and go there to have fun and learn about Power Platform. We also have the upcoming Microsoft Ignite conference in November 2025. Go to ignite.microsoft.com to learn more and to start registering to this big event. And last but not least, near the end of 2025, in December, there will be the ESPC conference with a lot of content about Microsoft 365, AI, cloud, security, business solution, and modern work. Go to www.sharepointeurope.com and dig into the upcoming conference. And if you are already planning what to do next year, there will also be the ECS 2025 in Germany, in Cologne. This is one of the biggest events in Europe. You see 3,000 attendees just a couple of weeks ago in Germany, and it will be even bigger next year. So mark your calendar and go to ecs.events to learn more about this one as well. And of course, there are also a lot of local community events between June and September 2025. You can see there are events in the Netherlands, in the United States, in Germany, and so on and so forth. So if you are in the local community and you want to enjoy time with your community mates, mark your calendar again for these events. Go there and enjoy sharing your knowledge and meeting people in the community for real, in person, not only on Teams, okay? But talking about other stuff that help us to learn and to improve the quality of what we do, there is a really nice initiative led by one of my colleagues, Rabia Williams, which is the Copilot Prompt Library and the Copilot Prompt of the Week. In fact, whenever you create agents for Microsoft 365 Copilot, it is really fundamental to being able to properly write prompts to instruct your agent about what to do and what to give as a response to the users. And that's why we have this community challenge. We have the aka.ms/PMP prompt library, where you can find a lot of samples of prompts shared by the community members. And you can also learn by reading others' prompts how to write your own prompts. And we also introduced in the Copilot Dev Camp a section dedicated to writing Copilot prompts in the right way. And because of that, we also want on a weekly basis to award or recognize prompts really useful and interesting shared by the community members. Like, for example, this week we have one from Shinichi Yamada, who is providing us and sharing with us a prompt to help us find a better way to communicate in a warm way with other people. So rather than just sending a message to someone, we can process the message through this prompt and see if the message is kind enough, warm enough, good enough to have a better reaction and response from the people we are reaching out to. So great example of how to use prompts in Copilot and how to use agents in Copilot to improve our quality of life and our productivity. So kudos to Shinichi Yamada. That said, I think is the best moment of this community part of the call before the great demos we are going to see. We are going to get the together mode picture. So I'll give the steering wheel to you, David, so that you can start recording the together mode picture, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Paolo. Let me share my screen. Get those cameras turned on, everybody, so we can see those fantastic faces. And I will move teams over here. All right. Looking good. I see some peeps already. Paolo looking good. See Bill and Simon and April. All right. Looking fantastic. We are doing good on time, so we'll give everybody just another second. It looks like the interwebs are working. Everybody looks clear. And we will give you an opportunity. I know Teams is a little late, and sometimes, as Wictor said, definitely be like Seb. We can start early and get going and get the whole little turny thingy. Bobby, all right, let's give it just another second, and then we will start the countdown here. 3, 2, 1, wave. All right, looking great to see you all again. Thank you for all that you do. Love the thumbs up, love the smiles. Love to see you all here. Thank you for supporting our community in ways that only you can. So keep it up. We really appreciate it. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, Paolo, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Back to the actual content of this community call. And let's go back to the real stars of this call. So we're going to see 3 amazing demos. The very first one will be from Wictor Wilen, and it will be an introduction to Copilot People Connector. So Wictor, please share your screen and let's start your demo. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo, for the introduction. And yeah, I'm super happy to, for the first time, or not really, the second time actually share Microsoft 365 Copilot connectors for people data, which is the official name. What we have built over the last few months here is a capability for you to be able to do the Microsoft Graph Connector framework, now renamed to the Microsoft 365 Copilot connectors, to be able to ingest not just any content right from file shares or Jira tickets or other things, but actually information about people, to enrich the view you see on the people card, to enrich the view that Copilot can have to reason over the people in your organization, but not only enrich, but also extend that with custom properties. And this is something I hoped that I could demo for reals in public previews day, but we unfortunately hit some snags. So we're a couple of days behind the schedule here, but stay tuned. This will be available in public preview soon. So let me walk you through what these Copilot connectors for people data essentially is. So the intent, as I mentioned, is to enrich and extend the view of a person. Sometimes we call it the profile, but we want to keep it bigger and not just the profile, but actually that view of a person, which is a combination of multiple sources. You see some on the screen here, right? The things you know about are Entra and SharePoint UPA, but we also have the Graph APIs. But now we also have the Graph connectors, or the Copilot connectors, that allows you to much more effectively connect your source of truth. It might be an external system where you have HR data or skills data or project management data, and bring that into M365 and store that in the view of the person. And then, as said, being able to reason over that in Copilot, see it on the people card, see it in the new people search, etc. There's 2 things that you can do. You can either enrich, that means you use the existing schema we have with work positions, phone numbers, names, titles, skills, certifications, these kind of things. But also being able to add the stuff that we don't have in our schema that actually fits your organization. Might be specific things that only works in the context of your organization. We will be shipping a set of out-of-the-box connectors to some standard HR systems that our customers have asked for. But also what we're going to talk about here today is how you build your own of these. And if you built a Graph connector previously, and I know there's been tons of talks about this, you know how to do this. There's a couple of extra steps you need to do in order to make it into people connector compared to a normal content connector. And one of those things that you need to do is use our new people admin APIs to actually register a connection as a source of profile data, and then also set the priority of these sources. You might have 10 different people connectors, might come from different systems, but for single value properties such as the job title, we need to know which one you prioritize over the other ones, so we can properly show that on the people card, etc., etc. And as I said, it's coming soon to a tenant near you. I'm going to run this code on my dev tenant that doesn't have this flighted yet, so we can't see the end result. And even if we could see the end result, there's a delay right now, and that's one of the bugs we're trying to figure out. So it takes a couple of hours, up to 2 days actually, before it's actually visible on people card. That's not the GA for it. This is going to be fairly immediate once we do this, but that's one of the things of doing things, building things so fast. So the steps you need to do in order to create these applications is just as with graph connectors, as I mentioned. There's one extra step you need to do. First of all, you need to create an Enter ID app. And if you want to prepare for this preview, if you don't have access to developer tenant, you can already now start talking to your admins and ensure that you have this Enter app ID created with the right scopes, which I'm going to show in a bit. Then you use the graph APIs and create a new external connection. You create a schema, and that schema defines what attributes you either want to enrich or the custom properties you want to add. Then you need to use the people admin API. So first register the profile source and then set it wherever you want in that prioritization list. And then you just keep on syncing in items. And then items is representation of a person. So for instance, if I'm going to update me, there's a record of me with that's following that schema, updating my work positions, my skills, my certificates, or whatever, and the same kind of thing for Paolo and David, etc. So each person have their own record. And then you can continuously run this, depending on your own schedule. You can do it daily, you can do it how often you want, etc. There's the documentation coming out fairly soon as well. There are some limitations in what part of the schema you can use, and there are some other limitations into the preview that we are working hard over the summer to get rid of before we GA this as soon as possible. And I'd love to get your feedback on these things. When you start working on them, ping me on social media, Blue Sky or LinkedIn, whatever, if you have anything that pops up, so we can GA this as fast as possible and take your feedback into consideration. So with that, just let's jump over to some demo code and I'll show you how it looks like. And let's first of all, you need to go, as I said, Enter ID and register a new application. Just create a new application or ask your admin to do that, someone that has permissions. And it needs set up API permissions. So it needs, first of all, let me scroll, make this bigger, external connection, read, write all, and that is to actually create the connection. So this is the feedback we received from customers when we talked to them about this, and that's how it works for content connectors as well. You can actually create two apps, one that creates the connection and registers the schema, and one separate application that actually syncs the information. So if you want to have some governance around this. That's the second item. That's about reading and writing people records in this case. Then finally, we need the people settings .read write all, and that's to register the source and put it in the prioritization list. And for this public preview, we actually need to verify that the user exists to get, or I need to get the ID. That's how I've done it in my application. So I need also user read.all. You will not need that in when we GA this or halfway through the public preview. And I already run the application here. Have a .NET application. Since creating the connection and registering the schema takes a couple of minutes, I already done that. I'll show you the code in a bit. But first, let's go into data sources in Search and Intelligence. And you can see the connector is created in the bottom here. So I created it 48 minutes ago, but it doesn't have any items yet. And for that, this is code that will be shared on GitHub as soon as the public preview is out. But essentially, it's fairly simple. We're just using the .NET SDK first to create a new connection. And I'm using an ID and a name of it here. And then secondly, I'll register the schema. So there's now only one requirement that you need to have in here, and that's a string called accounts. And that's going to represent which person you will enrich, which contains UPN and the object ID of that user. You will see that in the last few lines. In my connector here as well, I want to update the positions entity collection, and that is essentially to update the job title or department and these kind of things. And then finally, and these are accounts and positions. A couple of others are reserved fields that we have that will be listed in documentation, so you know which ones you can enrich. The third property here is favorite color. That's something we don't have today in our schema, so that this is custom properties specifically only for this connection. And after ingesting information about people, I can essentially search for a person and their either look up a person, see their favorite color, or search for people with a specific favorite color. So all this data is publicly organizational public information. So currently the ACLing here has to be for everyone in the organization. Over time, we will add more so you can properly hackle it to a specific set of groups. For instance, if there's more sensitive data or data that need to be treated in a separate way. So once you've done that, the next step is to register the source. And in my example here, just to show you that it actually works, .NET run register is my short and command for that. So what it's going to do now is actually picking up my connection ID, registering that source, and then put that source in the prioritization list. That's using two new admin APIs. So let's use Graph Explorer just to show you. First of all, we have the profile sources here. That is a new API, the way you can control the sources you have in your organization. You will always have enter ID in here. I added a custom connection previously. So if we run this again, you should see my new connection in here, I hope. Yeah, there it is. Contoso HRM 365 community. So this is connector I just created. And the cool thing here is that you can actually add a web URL for this, so which point back to the original HR system. You can add localizations to the display name if you want to, and this will also eventually be available in the people card, so you can actually see where this information is coming from. The second part of this is using another endpoint, profile property settings, like that, and we go run here. And here's a list of prioritized source URLs. And this array represents the order in which these sources are treated. So my application now put this one at the top here. Going back to the source code, sorry. Scroll down a bit here. Again, right, I'm just using the beta APIs here right now to create this first register the profile source with display name, web URL, and localizations if I want to. Finally, I just get that ID and updates this list with this URL endpoint and essentially patch that endpoint to get that into that list. So once you've done that, you have this connection set up and you can start syncing people. And in this simple demo, I just have 3 users. I have the UPN, we need that one. I'm using the graph to look up the object ID as well, because I need that one in the accounts collection. I have a department here. It has a position and a favorite color. What I'm doing is I go through each and one of these people. I'll scroll down a bit and I create a new external item. I need to create a unique ID for this person, and I do that just by using the UPN essentially. I create the ACL, and as I mentioned, it's for everyone in the organization, and this is a requirement for the public preview to put it as everyone. Then I specify these properties. And here's the thing. These accounts, as you recall from them when I register schema, these are string properties, and that's what the graph connector essentially, they don't support more complex data types. So we need to create the object and then serialize it into JSON string. So for the accounts, which is the required one, I need user principal name and the object ID. Finally, we have the positions. I'm only updating job title and department in here. So I'm essentially overriding this. These are, as I said, single value properties, both of them, which means that they will be used now since it's also on the top of the priority list. And finally, I have the favorite color just in this way. So if we run that thing, is .NET run sync is my command for that. It's just going to go through these 3 people in that array, update them in that index. Unfortunately, we can just take a look at it here like this. Take this one. And then we go to admin. External connections, connection ID is Conto, so HRM 365 community, which was the name of my connector, items, and then we take a look at just that specific item. So we can see here, I imported that item. This is now being sort of put in that queue to be imported into the people store. You have the accounts here with the user principal name and an object ID, the positions detail. And these here, positions, there are skill certificates and other ones. They are, the format of those JSON structures are as in the /profile endpoints that already exist in beta. Then we have the favorite color here and some internal things. So you can now see it's actually put there in the queue and eventually will be picked up and put into the people store and then being indexed by the people index, etc., etc. So that's a big difference here. We do not put them in the normal index, but rather in the people index that is personalized and adapted to you and the view of how you view another person, essentially. With that said, the code here, if we go back to it, it's fairly simple. So in your sync application, this essentially the last part is what you do, right? You construct that external item and you just put that back to the graph endpoint, and it continues to crawl that one. And you can set this up as an Azure function or an workflow of any kind, or just a console application as I've done here, if you want to. To remove these things, you need to do two things. You need to first just remove the connection. You can do that through UI or through code, but then you need to go back to those people admin APIs, remove it from the prioritized list, and remove the source. We are looking into simplifying that process, but we also think, given the power you actually get here by enriching a person's job title, right? We think it's a good, and that's feedback we heard from customers as well. We think it's good that we have this extra step of actually registering and deregistering sources. Right now, it's through an admin API. We have a team working on a great UX inside of the admin center as well. So you as a people admin can go in there and essentially take a look at how the priority looks like and modify them as you prefer without using the APIs as well. So with that, I'm almost on time. I haven't had time to look at the questions here, but I see Paul asking about the community examples. Yes, I have so many ideas of cool things I want to do with this, and I'm looking forward to community samples around this. Anything else do we have in there? Or we move on to the next one? As said, keep an eye out on these community calls for when this is actually out in real preview and not just in preview soon. You can start reading the documentation at aka.ms/peopleconnectors. That's the overall documentation for the out-of-the-box ones, and we will also add about this custom-built connectors or links to those proper articles, which we are just waiting to get approvals to be published, and we need to fix a couple of these bugs to roll it out worldwide to all of you to consume going forward. That's it from me, team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wictor. I see one more question about continuous scrolling or indexing, and Ibziam is wondering if it is supported or not.
Yeah, good question. So in this case, right, you are controlling how it's being crawled, right? So if you want to do incremental continuous crawl, you can do that. You just push stuff to this endpoint. You can do it. You can have it do it every minute, right? I don't think your HR system updates that often, but you could essentially trigger on signals in your source system and then push that update. So it's fairly immediate from when the source system is being updated to when it's available in M365, in the people graph and in Copilot, etc. So that is essentially up to you to control, compared to the out-of-the-box connectors where there's a crawl schedule that is controlled through the admin center. So I think that's one of the benefits of these custom-built connectors, right? The out-of-the-box connectors are pull connectors, which are typically running on a schedule or either full or incremental. Whereas when we have these graph connectors, it's push connectors instead, so you control that. So it's probably faster time to market as well. So because you can do that on events instead of doing on schedule, which is a cool thing.
Thank you.
Thanks
very
everyone.
much, Wictor. Thank you. It was a really great demo, like always. Thank you so much, Wictor. And now we
Yeah,
can move
sorry,
to
I went a bit fast here today, but as Paul said in here, once we have those community samples out and you can start testing, it's going to be a way better experience for you, and you can use that in Copilot and see it in people card and people search, etc.
No, thank you so much. We're perfectly on time, so great job, like always. And now we can move to Matthew Barbour for a demo about multi-agent patterns with Microsoft 365 Agent SDK. So, Matthew, feel free to share your screen and start your demo. Thank you.
All righty then. Thanks a lot. Go ahead and bring the screen up. I assume folks can see the screen, and we'll go ahead and get started. So what we're going to talk about today real quickly is the multi-agent feature set that is part of the Microsoft 365 Agents SDK. The Agents SDK, let's go ahead and get started. The Agents SDK, as some of you may know, is an agent hosting infrastructure. It's a capability that allows us to, or allows you to bring your own orchestrator, your own knowledge sources, your own integration points, and make it available to the Microsoft and external hosting infrastructure using a technology that we refer to as Activity Protocol. This is actually how all of our agents, the M365 experience, the Copilot Studio experience, the Teams experiences, and so on and others look and interact with our agent infrastructure. This is up here at what we refer to as our user experience layer. Orchestrators in the Agent SDK are what you want to bring. So if you're using Copilot Studio or using M365 or using Azure AI Foundry, those all have opinions on orchestrators. What the Agent SDK allows you to do is bring your own orchestrator. So if you want to use Semantic Kernel plus AI Foundry, no problem. You want to use LangChain plus OpenAI, no problem. You want to use Anthropic, no problem. It all works within this infrastructure depending on the particulars of the language technology that you want to use. Moving on, the reason I'm moving quickly is I want to get to the code demos and actually show you what's going on. Within the Agent SDK, essentially the goal, as I said, is to allow you to build an agent and host it in your own technology stack, whichever that happens to be, with your own orchestrator and your own capabilities and controls over what you want to do. Now, this opens up a whole bunch of really interesting opportunities for you to innovate and develop on. So what we've done with the Agent SDK is we've focused it on what we feel at this point are the more stable aspects of building agents across companies. That is the idea of handling user authorization or authentication. This is the idea of being able to get an access token from the person at the console and use that access token downstream to communicate. So it's an on behalf of flow to communicate. The ability to manage the conversation or the session or the thread or whichever term that the particular orchestrator technology you want to use that manages the overall state of the conversation and interaction that you're tracking through. Now that could be a single turn operation, that could be a multi-turn operation, and so on and so forth. And then the concept of channel adapters. Now in the Agent SDK world, a channel is a client. What do we have to use to talk to that particular client? Slack has its own way of communicating. Teams has a different way of communicating. Discord has a different way of communicating, and on and on and on. How do we take those concepts and turn them into that common language that internally we refer to as Activity Protocol and communicate downstream? Now, there's probably things bouncing around in your mind. What about MCP? What about A2A, Google's A2A product? MCP is a tool calling API. And that is something that your orchestrator is going to use. And A2A is very likely going to become a channel adapter as it matures for us. Today, it's something that is a bit bespoke because that specification is still actively evolving. We do have prototypes. We do have support for it in some of our hosting platforms. And we're implementing that as a connector concept, which is less formal than a channel adapter. Okay. Now, kind of an overall structure of the way Agents SDK lays together. Here at the top, you have our channels, if you will, M365 Teams, Web Chat, Slack, and something else that integrate through Azure Bot Service. What Azure Bot Service is doing for us in this regard is it's hosting our channel adapters. It's allowing us to have a persistent endpoint that someone's client can use to communicate with us and forward events downstream to us to a single instance of an Agent SDK or a cluster of Agent SDKs that are managing their conversation through conversation state. And then underneath the Agent SDK, integrating with it is things like Copilot Studio, AI Foundry, OpenAI, other technologies that are capable here. Now, what we're going to focus on today is this thing over here to the right, where we see Copilot Studio agent, Agent SDK agent, and other agent. So that other agent could be an AI Foundry agent. It could be somebody on somebody else's cloud. Essentially, the concept here is where the Agent SDK, through its orchestration or through direct command, has the ability to delegate commands to another agent and have that other agent handle the communication. Okay, we're going to focus on the Copilot Studio agent today, and we're going to focus a bit on, in this case, the other agent. We're using an AI Foundry agent collectively here. Okay, alrighty. And again, just kind of a pitch. We have most of this is wrapped up through the Agents Toolkit, which is something that is available now. The Visual Studio version of it is honestly right now the most complete. The JavaScript and the Python implementations of the Agent SDK are dropping, and we're updating quite rapidly as we're rolling those out. And we'll go ahead and hop straight into the demo. All right. So what I'm first going to start with a basic demonstration is a leaf component, essentially a unit of work that we have available in the Agent SDK. In the Agent SDK, and again, I'm going to pop back to the slideware just a second. In the Agent SDK, we have a thing that we refer to, and I'm just going to kind of point at this line here, as our Copilot Studio client. The Copilot Studio client is a means by which you, any developer out there, can integrate with Copilot Studio and pull its chat interface and its ability to communicate and send events into your own application. That is part of the Agent SDK, and that's the first piece we're going to start with looking at. So this is
sorry, Matthew, do you mind zooming in a bit? Sorry about that, but we can't see it almost.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. So the Copilot Studio demo that I'm going to walk you through here is actually available on our sample site, almost verbatim to what you're seeing here. And I'm going to then just, at this point, hit F5. Okay. So I'm booting this up in .NET. This works as well also for our JavaScript implementation or our Python implementations for this client are also complete and available for you to work with. So what you're seeing here is a console application. Now, this console application is directly connecting to a Copilot Studio agent. In this case, it's talking to a weather agent. And if I come over here, it's actually talking to this agent here. So here's the prompt from that agent. Hello, I'm a virtual assistant, so on and so forth. And you can see that it's actually echoed the prompt. Do that. And of course, it wants to help. It's actually echoing the prompt directly back onto this console and giving you the options for communicating. So I can ask it questions. And in the case of this demonstrator, what we do is you'll see this little dot here. So when I ask this next question, you're going to see dot plus, dot plus, and so on and so forth. And what you're actually seeing happen is the Copilot Studio client is sending not only events, it's sending typing events, and then it's sending messages and message segments. So our client that we make available here, get current weather, plus, and so on and so forth. Our client is actually allowing you to interact with and work with the events that are coming back from Copilot Studio. It's the same as when we connect into Azure AI Foundry agents, you'll see what we refer to as the thinking events. Now you can choose to render those, you can choose to work with those, you can choose to use those inside your code or log them, but they're available to you to understand what's going on. So in this case, I have, again, my console app, and I'm connected to Copilot Studio. Now, how did I do that? So let's kill that off and come back over here. If I come over to my app settings, you're going to see that I have a tenant ID and an app ID. Now, Copilot Studio and Azure AI Foundry both want you to do OBO, on behalf of authentication. They want you to take that user account that is at the console and use that to communicate with the agent. The reason is that in both cases, we use the OBO credential then to allow for access to data sources that the agent has access to on behalf of that user. So we don't have any of the crazy stuff that we have to deal with when we're dealing with service accounts and did we actually overshare or undershare or something of that nature. We're actually using the permissions that you have to be able to see it. Now, how do I connect these two things? Now, you see here that we have a direct connect URL. We have an environment and a schema name. The Copilot Studio client in this case really only needs either the environment ID or schema name or the direct connect URL. For this, we're going to use the direct connect URL, which is currently pointed at a Copilot Studio environment. I'm going to show you where to get it. So I'm going to point this at a different client. So in this case, we're using the new customer onboarding agent. I'm going to click on native app. I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to paste it in. And then we're going to restart the client. And as the client boots up, now we are the customer onboarding agent, a virtual assistant, which again matches up with what we have here. And we're now communicating with this agent and interacting with this agent. Okay, so again, I can ask it a question about what I can do, and I'm going to get a bunch of different things going on with this agent. Now, in the background, our particular client also allows you to see from a telemetry point of view what's going on. Events, typing events, durations of each one of these. Each one of these is a cycle. How long did it take from the last request? And as you can see, this agent is doing a lot of thinking and a lot of typing. And then it eventually sent out the message and echoed the message back. So if we flip back over to the text, this is the text it emitted out here. Okay, along with the citation. So again, you're getting the actual full activity through each turn of the crank and operation as we move through here. As far as how we set up the identity and the authentication to communicate, in this case, we have an app ID that we've configured with, in the case of Copilot Studio, a delegated permission called the Copilot Studio Copilot invoke permission. If you go to the GitHub site for the Copilot Studio client, you will actually find complete instructions on how to do this. This is a delegated permission, not an application permission. So most folks have the ability to assign that to an application identity that you're using to broker your communication. There is also the ability to do this using a service principal that requires an application level scope and permission, which requires a much higher privileged user in the Microsoft tenant to authorize that. So we're going to stop this now and we're going to scale this up. So that was the Copilot Studio client. Now let's actually turn this into an agent. So here, what I have here is an agent, again, using the Agent SDK that has integrated some features from Semantic Kernel. So in this case, we're using Semantic Kernel. Specifically, we're using Semantic Kernel to, here we go. We are using Semantic Kernel using the agent instructions here to communicate to an Azure AI agent. So this is communicating to an AI Foundry agent. Semantic Kernel is setting up a set of connections. In this case, we're using an API key to communicate with the Azure leg of this. We've added a couple of plugins to this. And we have also added this folder here, MCS Agents. And what the MCS Agents capability allows us to do is define a set of settings here that give our Copilot Studio agents relevancy within this overall agent infrastructure. This in turn allows us to say, hey, I've got an agent that's in this environment, and that's its schema name, and that's the cloud. And this is its alias tag. And this is what its display name is within the context. Now, the reason we did the display name in this is to actually let you see when we switch between agents. So if I start this up, I'm first going to come over here to my basic build demo. Oh, and for those of you that have seen the Agents SDK inside the toolkit, you see that we also have the Agents 365 Playground. This is our test tool. This is the replacement for the old bot framework emulator. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. We're going to use web chat. So here we are in web chat. We've connected to the Agents SDK. You can see that it's given us a little bit of environment information back. This is something that I particularly find very useful when interacting with development environments. That lets me know exactly which version of the thing I'm talking to at any given time. And I can say, what can you do? So now this first request of what can you do actually only goes to the Azure OpenAI side. So it has come to the agent has decided that that now needs to go over to talk to Azure OpenAI, and it's come back. So here in our logging screen here in the back, we received a conversation ID. We stored that conversation ID and linked it to semantic kernel, and specifically to a chat history object, so a thread communicating with the Agent SDK. Or excuse me, communicating with the Azure AI Foundry. If I also in the same thing say, again, what is the weather? And I hit this, now you see something else has happened. So what's now happened is that same conversation ID has come in. We identified it as already existing within the system, but we routed it to a Copilot Studio agent because the Azure AI side of the house said that this isn't for me. Send this to the agent that is responsible for this. So that came back to the Agent SDK. The Agent SDK said, this needs to go to the thing defined for supporting weather, which is a Copilot Studio agent. So now I'm going to route this over to the Copilot Studio agent. So I'm going to take the user access token that I'm logged in here for, and I'm going to exchange that to communicate to Copilot Studio. And now I'm going to send that request on over to Copilot Studio. Okay. Copilot Studio then process this, and we have some telemetry. It has its own conversation ID and its own thread ID. So inside the Agent SDK, we're now holding two different threads together. The one that we're communicating with web chat and the thread that's going out to Azure AI, and the one that we're communicating with web chat and Copilot Studio together. So we've coordinated this. So I'm going to go ahead and click the Get Forecast, and we're going to go through. You're going to see the system do the token exchange, again, communicate, and come back. Of course, we're refreshing this at all the time. Okay. That is an example of two agents. There's actually three in here, but we're running short on time, so I'm going to cut it here and just answer questions in chat as we go forward. So I hope this was interesting. Hope this was entertaining. There is a little bit of cognitive load as to when you start dealing with meshes of different agents, because you really do need to think of it as a mesh versus a tree, because that's what it turns into. And these demos and more are showing up on the Agents SDK GitHub sites. So let me go ahead and leave you with that one slide. And that is this slide right here. You can find more about this stuff out here at github.com, Microsoft Agents. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Matthew. Great demo, and we are a bit late on schedule, so it might be that the overall timing of this call will be a bit longer than planned, just a few minutes longer. And just as a reminder, there will be the whole recording of this community call available in 24 hours from now. So if you will need to drop at the hour, feel free to. You will be able to watch the recording. If you want to stay with us until the end, please do. And now it's time for Abey, Abraham, and Ganesh Anandan to show us a demo, which was one of the winner of the PowerFull Dev Hackathon. So congrats for winning the award, and please share your screen and delight us with your demo. Thank you.
Thanks, Paulo. Hi everyone. I'm Abey Abraham, and alongside with me, I have my colleague Ganesh Anandan. So together we will be walking you through the CardioTriage AI solution. So the solution is a recent winner in the hackathon. So we would like to showcase that and showcase how Power Platform alongside with AI can solve real life problems. So before we move on, I will take a moment to thank all my team members who had put their effort to bring this idea into reality in a very short time. Congratulations, everyone. Yep. So today we will cover the overview of the solution, the high-level solution design, the components, and we will also cover a live demo. And any questions, you can drop that in the chat. We can answer that. And if there are any questions after this session, feel free to reach out to us in LinkedIn. We are happy to help. Yeah, for the interest of time, if you can skip to the next one, the next slide. Yeah. So when we thought about participating in this hackathon, we had three key challenges in healthcare, which we tried to solve, especially in the cardiac care. And the three challenges are: one is a delayed treatment, which especially is very important in terms of cardiac care, where a person who need immediate care need to be addressed. And in the current system, current clinical process, there are delays that could occur for getting the consultation from doctors, especially the expert doctors. And the second problem that we saw in this clinical process, there are different areas where human errors could happen, especially in terms of admin identifying the lab report, getting it to the doctors, then doctors verifying it before giving a schedule. And there could be errors happening in any of these stage, which we are trying to resolve using the AI capability, which we will showcase in the demo. And the other key challenge in this process is the operational inefficiency. So primarily there is a lot of time being consumed by different personals, be it the patient registration process, and there could be a lab technician working, and even there are cases where doctors have to work with the admin to get the schedules properly aligned. So all these are adding in delays, and it also add to a high cost due to the repetitive task. And when we thought about this solution, we were trying to address all these issues with the Power Platform and AI working together. And in this solution, we have used Power Platform, all the capabilities of Power Platform, including Power Apps and Power Automate. And we have used Outlook and Teams for the interactions. And there is a layer of AI which is including AI Builder, the AI agents, which is built on top of Copilot Studio. So we have used all low code. There is no custom coding done in this entire solution. So let me take you to the solution design. Yeah, you can skip this. You can go. Yeah. So I'll quickly take you through the entire process and how we automated this. So if you see a typical cardiac care process for scheduling, so it all starts with the patient registering at the hospital, and then there will be an outpatient ticket created. Usually this is done by a human person who will sit at the reception, get the entries taken, and then creating the outpatient ticket for them. And then it will go to the next step where a lab report will be taken based on the disease, in this case based on the cardiac readings, and this lab report will be used by the admin to validate the urgency, and then eventually getting a schedule created for consultation with the doctor. So this is typically the cycle. So how we try to use AI and Power Platform to reduce the issues that we mentioned before. So you can see on the left side there are three personas. One is a patient, then there is a lab technician, and there are a set of doctors who are expert, specialist, and general. So the idea here, the patient will register into a patient will register using an interactive Copilot agent. This is done. This is created using Copilot Studio, and in our demo, we are using Teams to embed this. But this could be embedded in different channels. For example, a kiosk in front of the hospital, or even a web interface where the patient can create an outpatient ticket remotely. And the moment it is done, the data will be added into Dataverse, and then the lab technician will take the report. He will use the Power Apps interface to add the lab report into the system. And the moment he does that, what happens? We have the AI builder working alongside with Power Automate. So it will extract this lab report and fill the data into Dataverse. And then we have our autonomous agent, which actually does three different processes. So the first step, it will identify this lab report. It will identify the criticality, the doctor expertise required, the time required for consultation, and the ETA time for this particular case based on the predefined knowledge that we have used for training this agent. The moment it identifies the criticality and the doctor expertise, the next step it does, we have a bookings calendar. So Microsoft Bookings, it's a tool which can be used for managing the schedules. And there could be already bookings created for each of these doctors. And the moment the agent identifies the criticality and the doctor expertise required, it will use Graph API. It will check for the schedules that are available in the bookings calendar. And based on that, it will identify the right fit slot for this particular patient. Or if it is a urgent case, it will automatically identify the near fit slot and automatically assigns a doctor. And the good thing with Microsoft Bookings, it can even interact with people outside of the organization. They could access the Microsoft Bookings. And there is a third case. If the lab report is normal and there is no immediate consultation required, we also have a lifestyle agent which will provide some tips to the patient. For example, if my BP is blood pressure is nearing the upper limit, it will give me a tip that reduce the salt consumption or do more exercise, right? So that all these unnecessary cases are not being consulted by the doctor, which does not need urgent priority, right? It is not consulted, and some tips are being shared with the patient. At the same time, the doctor is being copied there. So whenever the doctor gets time, he can go into this mails which are sent out with the tips and validate and reconsider if there is a scheduled appointment required for the patient. Yeah. So with this, we'll now jump into the demo. So over to you, Ganesh. You can quickly show the demo. Ganesh, you are on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Abey. Let's quickly jump into the demo. I can go into the teams. So we have two different agents. So one is a user interaction agent, which is a front-end desk, and we have another agent which is an autonomous agent, which performs their task in background. So so the patient or the hospital staff can interact with front-end desk to register the patients or they book the appointments. And also it could act as a FAQ. So basically it will share the information about the hospital services and facilities available in the hospital. So yeah, so let's start the demo. Like, say for example, I am the patient, I'm trying to interact with the hospital front-end desk, and I would like to add a patient. Then it will prompt a few patient details such as email address and other few information to register the patient. And then there is adaptive code to ask to fill the information about the patients, so that the hospital, it will save into the hospital record. And then it says that, I mean, it will ask a patient, I mean, do you need to book an appointment? Yeah, based on the response, and also it would ask additional few questions like any symptoms, because it is very important to understand the agent that wanted to keep the booking priority based on the criticality of the patient. So I'm trying to provide some symptoms. Yeah, so then it says that outpatient ticket has been created, and then it will prompt to upload a lab report. So so either this this lab report mostly will be done by lab technicians who has been taken the tests. So this is the simple canvas app which we developed as an interface for either end users as well as the hospital staffs, doctors. Everyone can use this interface to do their appointments and update the patient details, everything. So the appointment has been, I mean, there is a ticket has been created. So the staff from a lab who can upload the lab report. I can show you the sample lab report. Where is that? Okay. So this is just a, we took a sample lab report, very basic information about the heart related parameters such as tonophrine, BNP, and these are all the few things, and which has the numbers provided by the lab technician. And this report, we are going to upload into the application. So as soon as the lab report has been uploaded, so what happens, we have a Power Automate flow to convert this lab report into the database tables. So we have a AI builder which will extract the report into database table. That's the major task here. So once the data is successfully imported into the database table, yeah, so you could see the the details. So there is a reference value also. So what is a range and what is the actual value? So based on that, you can see the values here, and then the AI agent. So autonomous agent has been initiated. So behind the scene, the agent will start analyzing the values which is extracted here. I can show you that. So this is a Triage Master AI, which is an autonomous agent. We have provided the step-by-step instructions written here in order to perform the automated tasks. So basically this will be triggered. So there is a trigger. So there is a lab report. Whenever the lab report is submitted into the database table, this autonomous agent will start triggering, and then we have few actions like to do certain operations like create appointments, getting the doctor's list, getting out the existing appointments. So based on the existing appointments, this agent will try to find the available slots, and also we have the send email connector to send the email notifications to doctors as well as the patients about the appointments. And we have a knowledge documents which we clearly defined how to schedule an appointment, and also how to evaluate the lab results. So we have the step-by-step documentation about each parameters, and if what happens if the parameter is high, what happens if the value is low, and also we have the multiple combinations of calculating the criticality of the patient, also considering the symptoms provided by the patient. So we are not referring any external documentation. All the documents we have uploaded, feeded into the autonomous agent. And also we have another document which is a life tips and general guidelines. So basically for few patients, right, so they will have a symptoms, but the reports looks very normal. So for those kind of patients, they're not going to be book an appointment. So instead of booking an appointment for those patients, so we will send the life tips, I mean how to take care of in terms of food style and everything, in order to avoid the further problems for them. So and if you see the bookings actually, so as soon as the calculates the criticality of patients, agent will try to find a doctor's availability. So I'm trying to refresh it. So you could see that, I mean, there could be some bookings will be happened. So as we are out of the office hours, so the office hours between 9 o'clock between and 5 o'clock. So as soon as it crosses the office, so it automatically tries to find the next availability of the doctors based on the existing appointments and other settings, and it will try to book an appointment. So basically consultations, and it will tells the doctor a few basic information which is extracted from the lab report, such as what is the criticality is high and what is the doctor's expertise is required, and also the consultation time. So everything will be booked, and the meeting invite also sent to the patients for with the details. So yeah, and that's how it should be. So the key important part is that, I mean, so it will help us to reduce the manual effort for both the hospital side as well as the patient side. There is no delay. It will automatically book the appointments based on criticality. So patient doesn't need to wait for a long time to get it done. So the appointments has been done automatically. Yeah. I think I'm done with my demo. So
yeah, so this entire solution is available as part of the hackathon.
Yep. Yeah. So
if
we have
anybody want to reuse.
Yep. So we have a solution uploaded. Also, we have the source code. We have exported our solution, PowerFull solution, and there you can download it. Also, we have the demo video which is already uploaded into YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Abey and Ganesh. Great demo. Congrats again for the award. And thanks again to all of our demo presenters. Today we have got a lot of cool demos. So thank you so much. Just a reminder, next week there will be on June the 24th, the Microsoft 365 Power Platform weekly call. We will have Matthew Barbour covering additional topics about multi-agent patterns, Fabian Williams talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot retrieval APIs and Agents SDK, and then there will be Katerina Chernevskaya talking about a demo that was yet another of the winner of the PowerFull Devs Hackathon. So stay tuned and stay with us next week too. And if you want to stay with us in the meantime, just as a reminder again, we have a Discord channel, so you can join it through the QR code you see here. We already have 2,900 members. You can be the next one if you are not already in that channel. akms/community/discord is the short link to get there. And that said, we really want to get your feedback, so let us know how we are performing and if these community calls are useful and interesting for you. So aka.ms/community/calls/feedback, and let us know what you think. And remember that you are the community, so thank you. And thank you for being here with us, even later than planned. And in 24 hours from now, you will be able to find on the YouTube channel of the community, so the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel, the video recording of the whole community of today. And soon there will also be the demos available as individual videos. And next one will be June 24th, 8 a.m. Pacific time. So thank you very much and see you next time. Bye-bye.